Hey Grissom Gang, welcome back. So it is date night, honey. And for today, we are going to be doing some seafood. So we have a crab and shrimp wonton or egg roll for appetizer, and a crab cake for dinner inspired by none other than Miriam from
It is so good.
So I know I did some budget-friendly recipes, but I'm sorry, for this one, you're gonna have to dig a little deeper, okay? But trust me, it's gonna be worth it. So whether you treating your boo, your bae, or even yourself, it's date night, honey. Let's get started. So first, I'm going to
Wash your hands, clean them up. 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 Yeah.
cut up my shrimp. Now I already pre-cooked these and seasoned them. I'm gonna go in with about a cup of the jumbo lump crab meat. I'm gonna add some obey. Again, us Marylanders, we have to have obey. Going with some garlic powder, just a sprinkle of each, just to season that meat a little bit. And then I'm going to go in with some ground black pepper. So now I'm going to separate my crab meat, but while I'm doing that, that also mixes those seasonings into the meat. And I did that because for this mixture, you don't need the lumps to be that big. And because I only bought 1 pound of the jumbo lump meat, I just took 1 cup out of that pound. So this also makes it stretch. I go ahead and add my cut up shrimp. Those were medium shrimp, and I just added garlic powder, obey, and pepper to those as well. Then I'm going to go in with some chives. You can use green onion if you like, it's all the same. About 3 tablespoons of sour cream and about 3 ounces of the cream cheese, and you want that at room temperature. Now for this next ingredient, you want to use as much as you like. So I just grabbed about a handful of the 3 blend cheese. You can use any cheese that you like. If you only have cheddar, that's fine. But I go ahead and give that a good mix. So once my mixture was mixed, I went ahead and tasted it, and I needed a little more obey and garlic powder, but you do it to your liking. And then I go in with my egg roll wraps, which I got these from Walmart. And I use 2 at a time because these are very, very thin, and I find that when I use 2, they don't bust open. So I used 2. I put about 2 tablespoons of filling, give or take, and I use a egg and water mixture to make sure that it holds together. I put that on 2 sides, and then I take 1 corner and I fold it over to cover the filling, and then I tuck in both sides, and then you will see that I just roll it closed. Now once I roll it closed, I push it together to make sure there's no gaps, and that egg and water mixture will just bind it all together. And then you are done. Now the egg rolls are a faster and easier way to do your appetizers, but if you really want to get fancy, honey, you can do wontons instead. You can buy the wonton wraps at Walmart, but because I already had the egg roll wraps, I just cut them into squares. So you want to take 2 sides diagonal from one another and bring them together like so. And then you can take the 2 sides remaining and tuck them in. And then what you want to do is pinch down each end so that there are no gaps and the filling doesn't fall out. And I'm just fine-tuning to make sure there are no gaps and making sure it's all pinched together. And once again, that egg and water mixture will ensure that it sticks together. Another way to fold them is to take your pointer and thumb finger and pinch two sides and then bring it all in together. And there you have it, wontons. So I used about a half a tablespoon or so of filling for those, and now everything is ready to fry. So I fry these at 350-degree vegetable oil. I used my deep fryer, but if you don't have a deep fryer, you're more than welcome to use a pot. Just make sure that your wonton and egg rolls are covered in the oil. So I cooked these for about 2 minutes or so, or until they're golden brown. Let me tell you guys, these things cook really fast, so make sure you are watching them. Those look beautiful. And there you have it, your crab and shrimp wontons or egg rolls. Oh my goodness, you guys, let me tell you, these things are crunchy, they are creamy, they are delicious. I started making these about 5 years ago for Thanksgiving. I got the idea from my aunt, and let me tell you guys, my family loves it. Every single year we have it. So good. Now let's get on to these crab cakes. So once again, this recipe is inspired by Miriam from It's So Good. I love the way she says that. But I used her recipe because she's from Maryland, so she understands the flavors that we like and that we like a lot of meat and not a lot of filling. So I figured I'd use her recipe, but also tweak it a little bit to make it my own. So she went in with half a cup of mayo, 1 tablespoon of mustard, 1 large egg. I decided to add the Worcestershire because I like the flavor that it gives. It actually balances all of the flavors. She used 1 teaspoon of Old Bay as well as parsley flakes. I didn't measure mine, I just put it in there because most of the time parsley isn't too strong, so you can use as much as you like. I also added garlic powder because I have to have garlic powder as well as pepper in my seafood. Now the only other thing that I usually add is 1 dash of hot sauce, but I didn't do that because I wanted to stick to her recipe as much as possible. And honestly, I didn't miss it, so the hot sauce is optional. But I go ahead and give those ingredients a good mix. So something I always do is gradually mix in my wet ingredients to my crab meat, and that's because we Marylanders like as little filling as possible and as much meat as we can get. So in order to avoid putting too much filling, I just gradually add it in there. So it's just enough. So I only needed about half of that wet mixture, and that was partially because I used a cup of the crab meat for the wontons. Now you want to make sure you are folding your crab, not mixing it, because it'll break the crab meat up. Now the main reason I used her recipe was because instead of using regular breadcrumbs, she used crackers. Now she used the club crackers. I didn't have those. I already had the Ritz crackers. So I took about 8 of those and gave those a good crunch. And let me tell you, it did make a difference. It added a butteriness. It was so good. Now out of those 8 crackers, I used about 5 or 6. Again, I gradually added it in there. And once I mixed everything together, I gave it a taste because I like tasting my food. And I needed a little more Old Bay, so I added that in there. And these things were good to go. So I just split the meat evenly and made 2 crab cakes. Now if you want to make smaller crab cakes, you can do that, or even if you want to do crab balls, you can also do that. That works, but I just go ahead and pat those out. Now for her crab cakes, she did pan sear hers. I just went ahead and broiled mine. I lined the bottom with a little bit of butter so it didn't stick. Dusted a little Old Bay on the top, and I placed it on a low broil for about 10 minutes or so, constantly checking it, and there you have it. I paired mine with some sauteed asparagus and some garlic mashed potatoes, and let me tell you guys, this meal was so good. Oh my goodness, it was so good. I also drizzled some lemon over the top of my crab cake, and let me tell you, it just took it to the next level. Y'all, this right here is good, okay? Look at that meat, just, ooh, yes. Miriam, you wanted something, this is good. So I hope you all enjoyed these date night recipes. It was so good. But don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all on the next one.